Why is it that society glorifies relationships yet looks down on solitude, as if being alone means something's wrong with you? We live in a world where people rush into love just to escape silence, where scrolling feels safer than sitting with our own thoughts. But the truth is, most people aren't afraid of loneliness. They're afraid of meeting themselves. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Nowhere can you find a quieter place than your own soul." That's not a sentence, it's a challenge. Because solitude is not punishment, it's a classroom for self-mastery. It strips away noise, validation, and distraction, forcing you to see who you are without applause. And in that stillness, you don't lose power, you reclaim it. Today, we'll explore 8 Stoic reasons why staying single might be the greatest thing you can do for your mind, your peace, and your freedom. Stay with me. 1. Solitude reveals your true identity. When the noise fades and the phone finally goes silent, most people panic. They don't know who they are without someone watching, without a text, a validation, a reason to perform. For years, you may have shaped yourself around others, what they wanted, what they liked, what they approved of. You became an echo instead of a voice. But when life removes the audience, what remains is the truth of who you really are. That's the gift and the test of solitude. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. He was the emperor of Rome, surrounded by soldiers, servants, and endless demands. Yet every night he would retreat to his tent and write to himself. Not to the empire, not to history, but to his own soul. Those writings became meditations. He knew real strength doesn't come from followers, but from self-dialogue, the brutal honesty to face your own mind without flinching. Most people spend their lives avoiding that confrontation. They jump from one distraction to another, terrified of the silence that exposes everything fake. But solitude is not emptiness. It's a mirror. It shows you the roles you've been playing, the masks you've been wearing, the lies you've been telling yourself to feel worthy. It forces you to strip down to your essence. What do I value when no one's watching? What do I believe when no one agrees? Who am I when nothing is performing for approval? That's where Stoicism begins, not in the crowd, not in books, but in the quiet space where you finally meet yourself. Seneca once wrote, "He who is everywhere is nowhere." When your attention is scattered across people and noise, you lose the anchor of your own being. Solitude pulls you back to center. It teaches you to enjoy your own company, to hear your inner voice without interruption. And the moment you stop fearing that voice, you begin to lead it. In solitude, you discover that your thoughts aren't enemies, they're teachers. Your fears aren't proof of weakness, they're doorways to understanding. When you sit in silence long enough, clarity starts whispering. You begin to notice what drains you, what excites you, what truly matters. That awareness is your power. It's how you stop living by reaction and start living by intention. Being single, then, isn't a failure. It's freedom from the noise that once defined you. It's the season of rebuilding your mental architecture brick by brick, principle by principle. This is when you learn to enjoy coffee alone without needing a companion to make it meaningful. This is when a quiet night becomes sacred instead of sad. Because solitude doesn't shrink you, it introduces you to your vastness. So tonight, when the world goes quiet, don't reach for your phone, reach for your mind. Ask yourself 3 simple questions. Who am I when no one's watching? What kind of life feels aligned with my values? What parts of me have I been hiding just to be accepted? Write the answers down, not for anyone else, for you. That's the first step toward becoming unshakable, because in the end, solitude isn't the absence of love, it's the presence of truth. And when you know who you are without the world, no rejection, no loneliness, no silence can ever break you again. 2. Being single builds emotional discipline. They use relationships to escape themselves, to outsource their peace to another person. But peace borrowed is peace lost. And that's why solitude, though uncomfortable at first, becomes the forge of emotional discipline. It forces you to manage your own storms instead of expecting someone else to calm them for you. When you're single, there's no one to text when you feel low, no one to distract you when anxiety hits. It's just you, your thoughts, your impulses, your emotions, raw and unfiltered. This is where Stoicism becomes real, not as an idea, but as a daily practice. Epictetus wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Freedom then isn't doing whatever feels good, it's doing what's right, especially when it's hard. Solitude gives you that battlefield. Every emotion becomes a weapon to train, not a force to obey. Think about it. How often do we let a message, or the lack of one, decide our mood for the day? Someone doesn't reply, and your chest tightens. You start storytelling. Maybe they're angry. Maybe I did something wrong. But in truth, nothing happened except in your mind. The Stoics would say, pause. Observe the space between the event and your reaction, because that's where your power lives. The single life gives you that space uninterrupted. You learn to pause before responding, to breathe before spiraling, to question before believing every thought that shouts for attention. Being single teaches you to self-soothe, to sit with sadness without running from it, to witness anger without feeding it, to name loneliness without collapsing into it. You start realizing that emotions are not enemies, they're signals. They rise, they pass, they repeat. Your job isn't to suppress them, but to ride them with awareness. And in that calm observation, emotional chaos loses its grip. There's a quiet kind of strength that grows when you stop chasing comfort, when you stop texting people who give you half effort, when you don't explain your silence or justify your distance. That's emotional discipline, choosing stillness over reaction, clarity over chaos. Every time you resist the urge to seek validation, you're rewiring your nervous system for peace. Every time you face discomfort without fleeing, you build a fortress within. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That line isn't meant for monks. It's for modern warriors like you, navigating emotional battlefields in a world addicted to reactions. You master your mind not by running from pain, but by observing it until it loses its illusion of control. So the next time you feel the ache of loneliness, don't rush to fill it. Sit with it. Ask what it's trying to teach you. Maybe it's revealing your dependence on attention. Maybe it's showing the parts of you that still crave approval. Whatever it is, meet it with patience, not panic. That's how emotional resilience is born. Because when you no longer need someone to regulate your emotions, you become unshakable. You stop living as a reaction and start living as a response. You stop depending on others to make you calm, loved, or seen, because you've learned to do that yourself. That's not isolation, that's mastery. And one day, you'll realize the silence that once felt unbearable has become your sanctuary. The solitude that once felt cold has turned into warmth. You've trained your heart to serve you, not enslave you. That's what the Stoics meant when they said, discipline is the highest form of love. 3. Independence makes you untouchable. At some point, you realize how much of your suffering came from dependence, the invisible chains you didn't even notice. Depending on someone's attention to feel worthy, depending on their approval to feel enough, depending on their mood to decide if your day would be peaceful or painful. That's not love. That's emotional debt. And solitude is where you finally start paying it off. The Stoics believed freedom wasn't about possessions, but about power, specifically power over yourself. Epictetus was born a slave, yet taught emperors. Seneca lived in luxury, yet practiced poverty. Marcus Aurelius ruled the world, yet wrote, "Very little is needed to live a happy life." They all understood the same truth. The less you need, the less anyone can control you. When you're single, you learn what true independence feels like. You begin to notice how much of modern life is built on dependency, emotional, financial, digital. We crave comfort so badly that we sell our peace for company, our time for attention, our self-respect for a moment of validation. But solitude interrupts that trade. It reminds you that you were born whole, that you can cook your own meals, create your own peace, and rebuild your own energy without needing someone to rescue you from silence. Independence doesn't mean isolation. It means you can choose connection without addiction. It's not, I don't need anyone. It's, I am complete enough to choose who deserves my energy. That distinction changes everything. When you no longer seek someone to complete you, you attract those who complement you. When you no longer fear being alone, you stop tolerating half-love. Think of Seneca, one of the richest men in Rome. He slept on a simple mat, ate coarse bread, wore cheap clothing for days at a time. He called it voluntary poverty, a practice to ensure that if fortune left him, his peace wouldn't. His wealth was optional, but his freedom was not. That's what independence really is, training your mind to remain unshaken no matter what or who you lose. Modern Stoicism asks you to do the same. Try living 1 week with less spending, less validation, less noise. You'll feel withdrawal at first because dependence disguises itself as comfort. But soon, a strange strength rises from within, a calm that can't be taken from you. You'll realize happiness feels lighter when it's not rented from someone else. People may say you've changed, that you're distant or hard to read, but what they're really sensing is that they can no longer manipulate you. You've become untouchable, not because you're cold, but because you've anchored yourself in something deeper than approval. You've learned the art of self-reliance, to think clearly, feel deeply, and choose wisely without external permission. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "A man's true delight is to do what he was made for." Independence lets you return to that purpose. It frees you from performing, from pleasing, from proving. You no longer need the world to validate your worth. You live from it, not for it. So today, test your independence. Go somewhere alone. No music, no screen, no mask. Sit with your thoughts. Feel the discomfort. Notice how your mind searches for distraction and don't move. That's you reclaiming power, inch by inch, breath by breath. Because when you stop depending on others for peace, you become the calm in every storm. When you no longer need anyone to save you, you become your own fortress. And when you build that kind of independence, no one, not rejection, not silence, not loss, can ever touch you again. Sit for 10 minutes in complete silence. Let every thought pass like clouds drifting by. Don't judge, don't chase, just observe. At first, the storm inside you will feel endless. But if you stay, if you breathe through it, something subtle and powerful happens. The mind begins to soften. The noise quiets. What remains is clarity. You start hearing your true voice, the one that whispers instead of screams, the one that knows what actually matters. Solitude teaches that peace isn't the absence of thought. It's the ability to stand still while those thoughts move through you. It's the art of watching your mind without drowning in it. The Stoics trained for this not in temples, but in ordinary life, writing, reflecting, pausing before reaction. You can do the same. Every moment you resist distraction, you strengthen your inner command. Every time you choose stillness over scrolling, you remind your brain who leads. Because if you can't face your own mind, the world will always control it for you. But once you can sit in silence without fear, no chaos outside can disturb the calm within. That's what it means to be mentally unbreakable. Not because your life is quiet, but because you are. So the next time the room feels too quiet, don't run from it. Listen. That noise isn't a curse. It's your untrained mind asking to be led. And when you learn to lead it, you stop being haunted by thoughts and start being guided by wisdom. 5. Single life is freedom from emotional negotiation. Most people don't realize how much peace they've traded away through small emotional negotiations. The quiet compromises, the swallowed words, the "it's fine" when it isn't. Every time you adjust yourself to be more likable, every time you explain yourself just to feel understood, you're giving away fragments of your freedom. That's why solitude feels uncomfortable at first. It's the withdrawal from emotional debt, the detox that happens when you stop begging for peace from people who keep disturbing it. Relationships, especially unhealthy ones, often turn into silent bargains. I'll ignore this if you stay. I'll shrink if it means you'll love me. Stoicism calls this a betrayal of the self. Seneca wrote, "He who seeks peace from others loses it." The Stoics never avoided love. They simply refused to make their peace dependent on someone else's behavior. They understood that the most dangerous addiction isn't to pleasure, it's to approval. When you're single, you start noticing how often you used to edit yourself to maintain harmony. You begin hearing how loudly your boundaries were begging to be respected. And then, for the first time, you realize you don't have to negotiate anymore. You can say no without guilt, yes without fear, and enough without apology. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. The single life becomes sacred ground, where your peace and your values stop competing with each other. Think about how many arguments you've had just to feel seen, how many times you've justified your silence, defended your choices, or explained your boundaries, all to keep someone else comfortable. Solitude exposes how absurd that cycle really is. It shows you that love built on compliance isn't love, it's control. Real love, the Stoics remind us, must coexist with freedom. Anything less is emotional servitude. The moment you stop negotiating with manipulation, your self-worth begins to recalibrate. You stop mistaking chaos for passion. You stop confusing attention for affection. You stop thinking walking away is loss. You recognize it as protection. Solitude gives you the strength to enforce boundaries without drama. You detach quietly. No argument, no explanation, just clarity. Epictetus taught that peace is not something you request. It's something you choose by what you tolerate. Every time you let someone cross a boundary, you teach them your limits don't matter. Every time you accept disrespect, you show them guilt can still reach you. But when you live by Stoic principles, your silence becomes your strongest statement. Your standards don't need to be announced, they're felt. Here's a simple practice. Write down your non-negotiables, the things you will not sacrifice for love, approval, or belonging. Maybe it's respect, maybe it's honesty, maybe it's time. Whatever they are, guard them like sacred land, because they are. Every no born from self-respect is a yes to peace. And understand this, peace isn't found in the absence of people. Peace is found in the presence of boundaries. You don't need to raise your voice to defend yourself. Your calm detachment speaks for you. You don't need to prove your worth. Your silence in the face of manipulation proves it already. That's what solitude gives you. The unshakable dignity of self-ownership, the end of emotional bargaining, the power to walk away with your heart still open. When you reach that point, you stop asking, "Do they still love me?" and start asking, "Am I still honoring myself?" True freedom isn't living without people. It's living without permission. And when your peace is no longer up for negotiation, no one can ever take it from you again. 6. Solitude gives clarity of purpose. When you finally stop chasing noise, something extraordinary happens. The fog begins to lift. You start seeing life with startling clarity. All the things you said you wanted, all the people you thought you needed, begin to sort themselves out. Solitude doesn't just quiet the world, it sharpens your vision. It reveals what truly deserves your time and what was only pretending to. In a world addicted to movement, stillness becomes rebellion. Most people fill their schedules to avoid their conscience. They mistake busyness for purpose, activity for direction. But when you're alone, there's nowhere to hide. The mirror of solitude asks one brutal question: what are you really building? Epictetus lost everything, his home, his status, his freedom, yet he found his purpose teaching philosophy. He called it the work he was born for. He didn't need a stage or an audience. He needed clarity. The Stoics believed purpose isn't discovered. It's forged in silence, through reflection and ruthless honesty. The crowd tells you what's impressive. Solitude tells you what's essential. Being single gives you rare mental space. The pause between today's noise and tomorrow's demands. The breathing room where your dreams can finally speak. In that quiet, you begin to notice patterns. What drains you, what fuels you, what aligns with your soul, and what only feeds your ego. You realize some goals were never yours at all. They were inherited expectations wearing the mask of ambition. Expectations disguised as ambition. And so, piece by piece, solitude helps you dismantle the life you built for others and design one that finally feels true. Clarity is not a comfortable gift. It cuts through illusions. It shows you the relationships built on convenience, the jobs that pay your bills but bankrupt your soul, the habits that give momentary pleasure but steal long-term peace. And once you see that clearly, you can't unsee it. That's why solitude is sacred. It forces truth to the surface. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Solitude confronts you with that waste, not to shame you, but to wake you up. It reveals how many hours of your life were traded for distractions that meant nothing, but it also gives you the map to reclaim them, because clarity without action becomes cruelty. Purpose is clarity lived out. Try this. Spend one evening with no entertainment, no conversation, just you and a notebook. Ask yourself 3 questions. 1. What do I truly value? 2. What am I building that will outlast me? 3. What am I willing to sacrifice to honor that vision? Write honestly. You'll be surprised how much truth lives beneath your excuses. Solitude gives you back your direction, not because it hands you answers, but because it removes the voices that kept you confused. The longer you walk alone, the more you begin to trust your internal compass. And one day, you wake up and realize you no longer need to chase clarity. You've become it. When you reach that point, even your solitude feels purposeful. You stop seeing it as waiting. You start seeing it as becoming. You realize every quiet morning, every lonely night, every moment of uncertainty was shaping you for something greater. So let the silence refine you. Let the stillness question you. Let solitude strip away the excess until all that's left is your mission, your virtue, your truth. Because once you know your purpose, every no becomes easier. Every distraction loses its grip. Every step forward feels sacred. That's what the Stoics meant when they said, "Clarity is the beginning of strength." 7. Solitude transforms loneliness into mastery. Loneliness is one of the most misunderstood experiences of our time. We treat it like a disease, something to cure or escape. We fill it with noise, company, distraction, believing that silence means failure. But loneliness isn't the enemy. It's a messenger. It appears when the soul is starving for its own attention. When chosen intentionally, solitude turns that ache into strength. The difference between loneliness and solitude is awareness. Loneliness screams, "I'm missing someone." Solitude whispers, "I'm meeting myself." That shift changes everything, because when you sit with that emptiness long enough, it begins to speak. It shows you the parts of yourself you've ignored, the dreams you buried, the emotions you numbed, the values you compromised just to feel accepted. The longer you stay in that quiet confrontation, the more you realize the void you feared was never loneliness. It was the absence of self-respect. Marcus Aurelius wrote every night in solitude, even as an emperor. Surrounded by thousands, he still turned inward, not to escape the world, but to master his reaction to it. He understood that true strength isn't built in noise, it's refined in silence. Silence reveals what distraction hides, your patterns, your fears, your dependence on external comfort. Most people run from loneliness because they think it proves something is wrong with them. Stoicism teaches the opposite. Facing loneliness is how you become whole. Seneca said, "Associate with people who make you better. Welcome those you can improve. The process is mutual." Sometimes the person you must improve is you. Sometimes solitude is the classroom where you're both the teacher and the student. When you stop running from loneliness, it transforms. You stop fearing the empty room. You start cherishing it. You begin noticing a subtle peace in things you once overlooked. The rhythm of your breath, the hum of the fridge, the flicker of candlelight. Ordinary moments become sacred. That's not delusion, that's mastery. Mastery isn't about controlling life. It's about accepting it, seeing things as they are, and remaining steady. Every great mind, from Epictetus to Viktor Frankl, understood this. Solitude is the training ground of resilience. You can't command a room until you can command your own mind. You can't lead others until you can lead yourself through silence. When you master loneliness, you become emotionally self-sufficient. You no longer chase connection out of fear, you create it out of choice. Try this. Spend one weekend completely offline. No messages, no scrolling, no background noise. Walk, write, reflect. Listen to your thoughts as if they belong to someone you care about. The first day feels heavy, like withdrawal. By the second, your senses sharpen. By the third, your breath slows, and for the first time, you feel something rare. Contentment without a reason. That's what mastery feels like. Stoicism doesn't ask you to reject connection. It asks you to outgrow dependency, to become someone who can love deeply without losing themselves, to be the kind of person who can stand alone in peace, so that when you stand beside someone, it's from fullness, not need. So if you're alone right now, don't rush to fix it. Let it teach you, let it carve you, let it make you unshakable. Because once you learn to befriend loneliness, no crowd can overwhelm you, and no silence can scare you. You become your own companion, your own guardian, your own source of peace. That's when solitude becomes not punishment, but graduation. And the diploma it gives you is mastery over your emotions, your thoughts, your mind, and ultimately, your life. 8. Solitude prepares you for true love. Here's the paradox of solitude. The moment you stop searching for love is the moment you finally become ready for it. Most people don't actually seek love. They seek escape. They seek someone to silence their loneliness, rescue their self-doubt, or complete the parts of themselves they refuse to face. Dependency dressed in poetry. But Stoicism teaches a harder truth. No one can save you from your own mind. You must first learn to dwell peacefully within it. Only then can love become a choice, not a crutch. When you've been single long enough, you begin to see the difference between loneliness and readiness. You stop confusing chemistry with connection, attention with affection, possession with partnership. You realize that true love doesn't begin when someone enters your life. It begins when you stop abandoning yourself just to keep them. Solitude gives you the sacred pause to learn that lesson. It rebuilds your inner foundation so that when love arrives, it stands on solid ground. Epictetus once said, "To love is to wish good for another, not to own them." Simple, rare. Most people enter relationships hoping to complete their story instead of learning to write it alone first. Solitude is the rehearsal space for genuine love. It's where you learn patience, empathy, restraint, where you realize that peace isn't something borrowed from someone's presence, it's something you bring into their presence. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in history, loved deeply, yet understood detachment. He wrote, "Accept what is given to you by fate, love what is given, and let it go when it leaves." To him, love was not ownership, it was reverence. When you practice solitude, you cultivate that same reverence. You stop clinging, You start appreciating. You stop fearing loss and start valuing moments. That shift changes how you love forever. In solitude, you learn to meet your own needs without guilt. You learn to soothe yourself instead of demanding others do it. You build habits of self-respect, self-nourishment, and self-trust. Those habits become invisible armor, the kind that keeps love clean and free from desperation, control, or manipulation. So when you finally meet someone from that place, you don't say, "I need you." You say, "I choose you." And that choice carries real power because it comes from wholeness, not hunger. A quiet maturity grows inside you. You'd rather be alone than half-loved. You stop negotiating your peace for temporary comfort. You stop mistaking chaos for passion. You stop settling for people who only visit your silence instead of respecting it. And in doing so, you raise the standard, not for others, but for yourself. You realize love isn't the merging of two incomplete souls. It's the meeting of two complete ones who choose to grow together. So yes, solitude prepares you for love, not by making you colder, but by making you clear. It burns away illusions, cleans your heart of dependency, and fills the empty spaces with purpose. You learn that being single isn't waiting. It's training, emotional weightlifting, the strengthening of the self so you can love without losing yourself. When someone finally enters your life while you're already whole, you'll recognize it instantly. It won't feel like fireworks or chaos. It will feel like peace, the same peace you've been building alone. Because true love doesn't save you. It meets you where you've already been saving yourself. And solitude is how you get there. The closing message. You've just walked through 8 Stoic truths, 8 mirrors revealing what solitude really is. It's not isolation, it's not emptiness. It's sacred ground where strength is built, clarity is born, and peace is earned. Being single is not a pause in your story. It's the chapter that shapes the rest of it. It's where you stop performing and start becoming. It's where you stop begging for love and start embodying it. The world may still tell you that being alone means being incomplete. But the Stoics would smile and say, only the one who can stand alone deserves to stand beside another. So don't fear solitude. Refine yourself through it. Don't fill the silence. Listen to it. And don't rush to be chosen. Choose yourself first. If this spoke to your soul, share it. Leave a comment below with your truth. And remember, you are not waiting. You are training. You are not alone. You are becoming. I am complete even when I am alone.